Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet, and today we're going to be working on this crazy cool crochet chevron coat, and we are using these yarns. I used Loops and Threads Soft and Shiny, and the color is Ice Coffee and Creme Fresh. We're also using an H hook or a 5mm, scissors, and a yarn needle. All right, we're going to start with one of the front panels, and you'll be making 2 front panels. And we'll start with a chain of 50, which I've already done. Now I'm assuming you're not a beginner. Now if you've never worked a chevron stitch before, I think you'll find that it's surprisingly easy. You'll learn the pattern very quickly, and this works up a lot faster than you might think. Okay, so what we do is skip that first chain. We're going to enter 2 single crochets into the next chain. And then a single crochet in each of the next 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the chevron consists of peaks and valleys, as most crocheters like to call it. So we're going to start with the valley first. So to do that, we're going to do a single crochet decrease over the next 3 chains. Okay, so we're going to start 1 single, start another single in the next chain, and 1 more time in the next chain. So now you've got 4 loops on the hook. Pull through all 4 and try to keep the yarn on the hook. That's always helpful. Okay, now we're going to single in the next 4 chains. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now you can see where we created the valley, the dip. And now we're going to go up with 3 single crochets in the next chain. And then 4 single crochets in the next 4 chains. 1 single crochet in each chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now you can see where we're going up and down in a zigzag fashion. There's the valley, there's the peak. And that's basically the pattern. It's not too difficult at all. Okay, so now we're going back down for another valley, so we're going to decrease. So there's 1, 2, 3. 4 loops on the hook. Pull through all 4. Now 1 chain into the next, 1 single crochet into the next 4 chains. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we need to do a peak. So that means 3 single crochets into the next chain. 1, 2, 3. And then a single crochet in the next 4 chains. And now a decrease. 1, 2, 3. 4 singles. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and now a peak, just 3 singles in the same chain, and then your 4 single crochets, and now a valley, so we decrease 1, 2, 3, pull through all 4 loops, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 single crochets in the last chain, just like we had 2 in the first chain, and then chain 1 and turn. And now again 2 single crochets in the first space, and this will be the pattern for the entire panel. There's 1, 2, and then a single crochet in the next 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we've got a valley here, so we're going to create another one. So we're decreasing over the next 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4, and then a single crochet in the next 4. So we're following the same pattern. And now the increase. 1, 2, 3, and now 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning 4 singles, of course, and now your decrease for the valley. 1, 2, 3. So just continue this across the row. Okay, so now we did our last 4, and now we're going to do the 2 singles in the last space. Just make sure you're going under the 2 strands. That'll be that last nub there. And do your 2 singles. Chain 1, turn, and repeat. So we're going to do this for a total of 6 rows, and then we'll change color. So 2 in that very first space, and then continue the pattern. Okay, now we are ready to bring in the second color. So we're going to enter 1 of the 2 single crochets in the last space. 1. Then we're going to start the second one, pull up the loop, and now bring in the cream color, leave a tail, and then complete the single crochet. Let's tighten that up a little bit with that new color. And then you chain 1, turn, and continue. However, I want to show you, because we're going to be carrying our yarn all the way up the edge for the entire panel, you want to start getting used to bringing up the color, the previous color, which is the tan, along the row, along the edge. So before you do that next chain, go under the tan strand, and then pull your yarn through for that chain, and then turn. You'll have to tighten everything up a little bit. Okay, so now with that new color, 2 single crochets just like we've been doing into the first space. So make sure you've got the right space. And then we're just going to continue the pattern exactly as we have been. So it's the 4 single, and then the decrease over the 3, 4 singles, increase 3 and 1, and just keep going. When you get to the end, do your chain 1 and turn, do another row. So we're going to have 2 rows of the cream, and then we will bring back the tan. Okay, now we're at the end of that second row of the cream, and I did the first of the 2 of the last single crochets. So now I'm going to start the second one. Now to complete it, we'll drop the cream, pick up the tan, and now remember we're carrying both colors up, so now we want to go under the cream, then grab the tan to complete that single crochet, and then your chain 1. Okay, so now you can see where that cream color is coming right up the row. I'm going to turn it so you can see. Okay, now let me show you what happens when you don't do this. And the whole reason that we're being careful how we're carrying the colors up the side. Okay, so on my completed panel, I started and I was not paying attention. So you can see where I was not being careful about carrying the colors, carrying the yarn up the side. So I ended up with these big strands. Then when I finally caught myself, you can see the difference. Now, it's no great tragedy, which is why I just left it, because what we're going to do when all is said and done is put a border on it. So depending on which panel you're looking at, this will either be the front, like the center, so we're going to put a border here, or it'll be the other edge where it will be seamed with the other panel. So in any case, these strands will be hidden. Let me show you the pattern that we're working at. Okay, so we started with the 6 on the bottom, and then 2 of the white, and then we will switch colors again, 2 of the tan, 2 of the white, and then 6 of the tan. Okay, so this chunk here is a set. I'm going to call that a set. So you've got your 6, 2, 2, and 2. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 rows will make up a set. And that's the pattern. So now what you're going to do for the size small, and keep in mind this is a long coat. This should fit about mid-calf. You can change this up however you want. If you want it to the knee or a little bit below, you can change the length however you want. However, you'll have to stay within the design. Okay, so if you want to make it shorter, then make it one set less. If you want to make it longer, make it a full set longer. Well, up at the top. Now, for size small, you'll want to make 8 sets of the 12. Okay, so 8 sets. And then we'll come back in the end and we'll put the top tan part on there. So for now, that's what you're working toward. Okay, so it's 6 tan, 2 white, 2 tan, 2 white, and then start the set again. 6, 2, 2, 2. What I usually say at the very beginning, and I didn't this time, but do watch the entire video first before you attempt to start it. So this way you know what's going on, what'll be coming up. I will leave tips and suggestions along the way. Now, to get to different sizes, you will find that information down below the video in the description area. You have to click either where it says see more or where there's a little V that's supposed to be a little arrow that you will find next to the name of the video. Click on that. It opens up the white space, and I've got more information, how much yarn was used, where you can purchase it, my social media, links, and all kinds of good stuff in there. So find your way to that description area. Now, for the different sizes, I'll just throw this out there. This is a multiple of 12 plus 2. So for this one, for the size small, for the front panel, we did the multiple with the 12, that came to 48, plus 2 came to 50. So that's why we started with the 50 chains. So if you want to make this a larger size, you would need to then add another 12 to the chain. So 62. And that would get you another one of these pieces here. The V. Okay, so depending on how wide you want it, you will add 12 more, 12 more, 12 more. And then for the length, like I said before, you'll have to add a set. Okay, now we've completed that first front panel with 8 sets of these rows. Now we'll go ahead and continue. All right, so what we did with that last set, 6, 2, 2, and 2. Then we added one more row of the tan. And now what we need to do to be able to shape the top part of it is to even out the row so that we're not having the peaks and valleys. We need to even it out like this. We ended at row 96, and then that last row of the tan was row 97. So now let's continue. Row 98. So when you finish that single row of the tan, turn. Now we're going to slip stitch in the first space, slip stitch in the next space, single crochet in the next, half double in the next, double crochet in the next, and now 3 triple crochets. Yarn over twice, go into your space, pull up a loop for 4 loops on the hook, pull through 2, pull through 2 again, and pull through the last 2, which 3 moves. Yarn over twice, insert your hook in the space, pull through for 4 loops on the hook, pull through the first 2, pull through the next 2, and then pull through the last 2. And then one more time in the next space, 1, 2, 3 for a triple. Now double in the next, half double in the next space, single in the next space, and then 3 slip stitches over the next 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Now you can see what we've done there is we've evened out that row. Now we're going to repeat that all the way across. So now a single comes next, a half double after that, a double in the next space, and now your 3 triples. And here's the third one. I keep getting hooked up. Now a double in the next space, a half double in the next space, a single in the next, and then 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. So just keep repeating that pattern until we get to the end. And then at the end, you will end up with 2 slip stitches. Just like we started with 2 slip stitches at the beginning, we will end with the 2 slip stitches. Now when you work the triple crochet in the center, there's going to be 3 triple crochets. 1, 2, 3. When you work this one in the center into this space, let me show you a blank one. When you come to this space here, the center of the dip, of the valley, of the decrease, don't enter the hook into the center, into the actual space. Go below a little bit. See where there's that tan color strand? Go under there and work your triple from there so that you don't end up with a big gaping hole. Right now at the end of that row, you did your last 2 slip stitches, chain 1, turn. Now we'll be working single crochets into each space. And we will end up with 45 single crochets. Now skip right over those first 2 slip stitches and enter into the single crochet for a single crochet. And then 1 in each space across. Be careful when you get to the slip stitches that you don't miss any of those 3 stitches, because they do get to be a little bit tricky. Now if you get to the end of the row and you're not at 45 single crochets, go back and check over those slip stitches. That might be where you missed something. Right at the end of that row, you got your 45 single crochets. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into those last 2, into the next slip stitch. Just slip stitch into the 1. And then chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to continue with the slips or the single crochets all the way across. And we're going to do a total of 10 rows, including this first one. That'll be like row 1 of 10 single crochets. So just single crochet into each space for 45 single crochets. And don't worry about this little slip stitch that's hanging out here. When you're done with your 10 rows, it's going to look like, uh-oh, something's not right. but we'll even everything out with borders at the end or seaming. One way or another, it will be okay. So just go ahead and continue a single crochet into each single crochet. When you get to the end of the row, enter your last single crochet, chain one, turn, and continue. When you get to the end of row 2 of the single crochets over here, again, don't worry about that slip stitch hanging out. Just keep going. Okay, now we're at the bottom, right side facing you. And again, we need to even it out so that we don't have the peaks and valleys. I don't want the pointy row to be the border, so I need to even that out. So now insert the hook into the third chain. And these chains are going to be a little bit more difficult to work through. Okay, pull the yarn through, do 3 chains, and that's going to count as a double. And now in the next chain, do a half double. Okay, that was a little bit messy. And then in the next one, a single. We're working the same pattern basically. And then the 3 slip stitches. And then a single, half double, a double, oops, and then our 3 triples, here's the first one. Now remember, for the center triple, we want to clean up that hole. So go into one of these strands on the bottom there. Oops. And then triple into the next one. And then double. Half double, so you can see what we're doing. I'm messing that up. That's what we're doing. Okay, half double, single, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, single, half double, double, your 3 triples. So just keep going in the pattern until you get to that last double crochet. Right at the end of the row, you got to the part where you end it with the double crochet, and that's where we're going to stop, and then chain 1, turn. And as you're working those slip stitches, don't work them too tightly, because now we're going to have to work into them on this next row. And it gets a little tricky. Okay, so now we're going to do a row of single crochet, starting in the very first space, and then a single crochet in each space across, and you'll end up with 45 single crochets. So when you get to the end of this row, chain 1, turn, and then continue with rows of single crochet so that you end up with 10 total rows of single crochet. Okay, now I want to show you the back, and it's the exact same pattern. The only difference is it's wider. And for this, we started with the tan color, chain 122. So that would be 10 of the 12 multiples. So 12 times 10 is 120, plus 2, 122. And we end up with 10 of these peaks, or the points, or whatever you want to call them. I can't fit the whole thing, as usual, in the one shot. So for the front panel, we had 4. of these points. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the back panel we're going to have 10. And then just continue with the pattern exactly the same. Okay, for the back panel we're going to finish it off exactly like the front panels. Same number of rows. And the bottom also the same. Same process. The top also the same process. Now the difference, of course, is the width is different. So when you get to the single crochets, the 10 rows of single crochets top and bottom, you will be at 117. 117 single crochets. So just follow the pattern exactly as for the front. Remember where you start. Insert the hook in the third chain when you're going to do your triple crochet rows. And then we do the sleeves. So the sleeves follow the exact same pattern. And you will start with a chain of 62 and then follow the pattern the same. And this time we're only doing 2 of the sets of the 12 rows. And then finish it off with the one set of the tan, or the one row of the tan in the same pattern. And then follow the pattern as for the front and the back. For the top of the sleeve, you are only doing 1 row of single crochet to finish it off. And you'll be at 57 single crochets. The bottom, you do the same as the others with the 10 rows of single crochet. And now we'll attach. We're going to attach the front panels to the back panels at the shoulder, and then we'll attach the sleeves. So you want the back panel and then the front panel. Right sides touching each other, wrong sides facing out. And we're going to seam from the outside corners going into the center all the way across that front panel. And we're going to use a slip stitch with the crochet hook rather than the yarn needle. This will give you a much more secure seam, which you really need for the shoulder because this is a rather heavy project. The coat will be a little bit heavy and it will pull down as you're wearing it. So you need a more secure seam at the shoulders. So all you're going to do is insert the hook at the very corner under 2 strands of both panels. Pull the yarn through, do a chain to secure it, and then just slip stitch all the way across. And you're going under the 2 strands on each panel. It's a little unwieldy for me because I'm trying to stay in the camera shot. But it's really quite simple, as I'm sure you've done this before. Okay, so just go under the 2 strands, slip stitching all the way across. And then of course you'll do the same on the opposite side. Okay, now to attach the sleeve. You may have noticed as you work the sleeve that it looks ridiculously short, but keep in mind we've got the drop sleeve over here. And it drops down from the shoulder onto the sleeve quite a bit. I'd say a good 5 inches or so depending on your own shoulders, the width of your own shoulders. But So this contributes quite a bit more to the length of the sleeve. Now what I've done is added a little stitch marker of contrasting yarn to the center of the sleeve, and it works out to be 28-29 stitches, and that's the center. And then you will match that up to the shoulder seam. Then we're going to use the same hook and the same method of joining as we did for the shoulder with the slip stitches. And this again will give us a more secure seam along the shoulder and along the sleeve. Okay, so we're going to be inserting our hook in the beginning row of the sleeve, or the ending row. Now you'll notice that I've got it marked top and bottom with a yarn needle. And this is so that you see where we're going to start and end, so that it matches up tan for tan. See what we're doing here? So that it lines up, and then it will end up looking really nice. And then the same over on the top, you're going to match up that bottom row of the tan of the body, of the back, to the tan row of the sleeve. So this is where you will be inserting your yarn, and then working up this way with your slip stitches. That's it. It's a pretty simple process. Now it's time to seam the sides, and I like to start from the bottom, wrong side up of course, and we're going to go up the side and along the underarm and down the sleeve. Now the thing we want to be super careful with here is to line up the rows so that the stripes are matching up. Let me show you the other side that's already been done. So as you can see right there how the rows are lined up perfectly. So for this we can use the yarn needle and the length of yarn, and just use a whip stitch going all the way up, and start at the bottom corner, going under 2 strands of each panel. And then be careful with the panel that had the yarn running up the side, so that you've got the 2 colors coming up along the edge, that you are capturing those strands of yarn so that they're not showing on the other side, on the right side. Now for the finishing touch, we're going to add a border along the front, and we will start at the bottom, inserting the hook and attaching the yarn along that bottom border. We're going to start with a chain of 1 to lock it in the same space. Work a single crochet, we'll hide all these knots in the end when you weave in your tails. That'll all be hidden. And you will enter a single crochet in each space or each row, all along the front and then along the neck. And then just continue down the other side. When you get to the end of that other side, chain 1 turn, and then continue with a single crochet into each single crochet, and you'll just keep repeating the rows until you have 10 rows of single crochet so that it matches this bottom border. So you'll have 10 rows of single crochets on both sides, and that will close up the front panels quite a bit more. And that's it. Just do your rows of single crochet and we're just about done. Now, as long as I've got you here still, don't forget to go check out the blog crazycoolcrochet.com, where I've got a lot more really cool crochet patterns, tutorials, and I also have a lot of different articles on how to earn money with your crochet, either the traditional way or even through retail establishments, or how to earn a real income without having to sell onesie-twosie items, as I call them. You can actually make or create an online business all based on your crochet skills, your love of crochet, and earn a substantial income. So go out to crazycoolcrochet.com, check out those posts. I've also got a lot of videos along the same lines, talking about how to earn a real income with your crochet. Enjoy!